Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Linus, and I'm here today representing IKEA, more specifically the area of transport and logistics within IKEA, where my own area of responsibility is South Europe, Middle East, and Africa. I want to start off actually saying thank you for inviting us and having this possibility to share our point of view on the sustainability from an IKEA perspective. And for this presentation, we chose the heading We Connect, and this is done simply based on the fact that we don't believe that we will manage our ambitious goals in case we don't find a way to partner up and actually address topics together. And this is really one of the things that we're trying to do here today, to reach out a hand and show that we're here to connect and we're here to partner up, because we believe that that is the only way that we as a company, but also we as everyone in this room, will reach the ambitions of having a better climate situation. Our world is rapidly changing, and I think this heading doesn't come as a surprise for anyone in this room. And it's, of course, one of the main reasons for why we're here these 2 days talking about the climate. I'm not going to spend too much time today giving you the whole history of IKEA as a company. But what I would like to do is actually to take you on a small journey and show you that sustainability is actually an integrated part of the IKEA DNA. And already back in 1976, so quite many years ago, our founder, Ingvar Kamprad, wrote a small book that is called The Testament of a Furniture Dealer. So you can say this is a book that is actually given to all co-workers that are joining IKEA, where he's pointing out our vision, our business idea, and our direction. And again, this was written already back in 1976. One of the things that he did in this book was also to clarify 8 key values, meaning values that should help us as a company to guide us in different decisions and how we should move forward as a company, as we are a value-based company. And the reason why I tell you all of this is simply the fact that 1 out of 8 key values that we utilize within IKEA is the value of caring for the people and the planet. So you can say already back in 1976 and already in the DNA of IKEA as a company, the sustainability agenda is really an integrated part of our DNA. If we could become a little bit more specific, of course, we also have within IKEA a sustainability strategy. Our strategy is called People and Planet Positive. And I think the key word on this slide is really the word positive, where we, of course, as a way of committing to the Paris Agreement, we've also decided that IKEA's point of view is not only to take small steps in the right direction when it comes to sustainability, it's really about having a positive view and having a positive impact on the planet, and actually really driving the sustainability agenda as one of our key values and one of our key topics moving forward. This strategy was written back in 2012, but we are, of course, aware that the world around us is changing, which means that also IKEA as a company need to change with the changing environment, which means that we are constantly updating the strategy, and the latest refresh we did was actually during the summer of 2018. So the strategy as such is updated just within the last 12 months. One of the things that we are highlighting in the strategy is, of course, our goals, meaning what are our goals in terms of the sustainability agenda, and more specifically our goals when it comes to CO2 emission and the reduction of CO2 emission. And here we have set out a long-term ambition, and for IKEA at this stage, when we say long-term, what we're talking about is the period from now stretching up until 2030. So you can say the coming 10-plus time horizon. And what we have stated as a goal when it comes to CO2 emission is that we're aiming by 2030 to reach an emission reduction of 15%. I think the key on this slide, though, is that we're talking about absolute emissions. So we're aiming to reduce the absolute emissions in our supply chain by 15% by 2030. Of course, the challenge, as well as the opportunity for IKEA as a company, is that we continue to expand and we continue to have the ambition to also sell more goods, which means that if we should reach this goal in terms of absolute value, it of course means an even higher ambition level when it comes to the CO2 reduction needed on the specific trucks. And when we translate this number into what it would mean as an ambition moving towards 2030, it would then be to reduce the CO2 equivalent emissions by 70% by 2030. And that by taking into consideration the sales increase that we're expecting, and of course, consequentially, the volume increase that we're expecting, that would then take us to the minus 15%, which is from a transportation and from an IKEA transportation perspective, our contribution to the Paris Agreement. When it comes to decarbonization within transportation within IKEA, we're really working with it by focusing on three, let's say, different areas that we're trying to address, of course, at the same time. We're talking about rethinking, reducing, as well as replacing as a mindset to move in the direction of our sustainability goals. When we talk about rethinking, it's of course about integrating innovation as well as partnering up, as I mentioned already on the first slide. And here we're looking into areas of innovation, we're looking into different kind of partnerships, as well as looking into our commercial approach in terms of how we select the service providers that we are using. And to give one example, when we talk about innovation, it could of course, for instance, be the future possibility of having electrified trucks doing at least part of the transportation. The second big area that we're looking into is the possibility of reducing. And here we are simply talking about doing more with less, meaning how can we be more efficient with the trucks and with the transportation that is taking place already today. And here we're talking about areas like equipment utilization, meaning simply how can we put more goods in each shipment as a way to reduce the CO2 emission per transported cubic meter. But we're also talking about technological improvements already on the existing markets, as well as how we can optimize our internal network within IKEA, but also how we can optimize our network by working with other supply chain stakeholders across the world. And finally, we're also talking about replacement and increase the share of both alternative fuel and intermodal. And here we are mainly talking about these two areas. So we have a strong agenda when it comes to moving from conventional diesel trucks into a higher share of intermodal, meaning moving in the direction of short sea solution or train solution as a complement to the conventional diesel trucks. But we are, of course, also talking about alternative fuels and the movement into moving away from a diesel-driven transportation. And we believe that if we do all these things, that we're moving in the direction of our decarbonization agenda and that we will actually be able to decarbonize with an impact as a company. I think as a last slide, I will show this picture. I'm not sure if the picture by itself is speaking by itself or not, because it's quite a complicated picture. But in one way, the message here from an IKEA perspective is that we do not believe that there is one solution or one magic bullet that will solve all the problems we have when it comes to sustainability and decarbonization. But we rather believe that we will have to work with many, many diversified actions if we want to reach our goal. And we know where we are today in the lower left side of the picture, and we know where we're heading. But we also believe that there will be many different roads in terms of how we move from the situation where we are today into reaching our goals that we have set for ourselves. And what you can see on the lower right-hand side, as one example, is the LNG truck, which is one out of multiple things that we are looking into as an alternative source of energy and one part of our diversified portfolio. And it's something that we have utilized in Italy since back in 2014. And we know that LNG is a fossil fuel, but at the same time we also know that LNG is a much lower, let's say, impact when it comes to CO2 comparing to normal diesel trucks. And we were one of the first companies in Italy that started to utilize LNG trucks, and we are right now on the level of transporting 350 shipments approximately per month utilizing LNG trucks. Our point of view here is, however, that the LNG trucks will most probably rather be a bridging solution moving in the direction of biomethane. And we believe that this bridging solution is a way to move us in that direction, and it will give us, as well as the overall industry, an opportunity to prepare the infrastructure for what to come, meaning securing the gas grid, securing the stations, etc., etc. So LNG is developed and we are utilizing it, but we also see it as a bridging solution moving in the direction of biomethane. And to be very specific, when it comes to the corporate IKEA point of view, we have also highlighted both France as well as Italy as two prioritized markets when it comes to moving in the direction of biomethane moving forward. So it's also something that is very high on our agenda moving forward. And I will end off with...
I ask you to go and to close, please. Thank you.
And to close this with one more word. I will end with the same words that I started with, and that is simply the fact that we are here to reach out a hand, and we believe that the only way we will reach these goals is actually to connect. So let's connect and let's make it happen together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.